Hello everybody. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how I think some zodiac signs can be more prone to becoming dictators or tyrants or just controlling in general, like cult leaders. I think a lot of these zodiac signs have the capacity. It's not to say that if you are this zodiac sign, you will like display these qualities, but I think there are more potential for certain zodiac signs, or there is more potential for certain zodiac signs to display this type of dominating behavior. Now, all of this comes because on Netflix there are two series that are called they're like the instruction manuals, how to be a cult leader, how to be a tyrant. And they're short series, they're about 6 episodes each, I think, and they just talk about 6 different people in history, and basically how what they did and how they got to be dictators or cult leaders. So I think there are zodiac signs which are okay. Well, I'm going to talk about a theory that I had and how it was kind of disproven, but you can let me know in the comments if you think that that my theory was true. I think I'm just missing information, and I didn't really have a lot of time to gather up the examples, because I'm going to be talking a lot about historical figures and how they basically became like cult leaders or tyrants. And I'm going to be giving those examples while also trying to back up my theory. Now, the zodiac signs, you know that they're categorized in elements. They're categorized in different ways, right? From fixed, mutable, and cardinals, to feminine, masculine, to, right? There's a lot of them. In this case, I'm going to be categorizing them or classifying them from based on their elements. So basically fire on top, air, earth, and water. My theory was that the signs that are on the top, like fire and air, don't really have that potential to be as dominating. And for me, the signs or the elements that are the most controlling, dominating, would be earth and water, especially water. I have this idea that water can be very controlling because of the emotions that it handles, right, with itself and with their own signs, and handling like other people's emotions, right? And I think memory and repetition is a big thing. You need to be able to remember many things that have happened and kind of give people that organization, that order, right? So memory plays a big role there. And the other one is you need to be able to repeat that, right? And through repetition is how you get people indoctrinated, right? So this idea also comes to mind because I believe there are people that are leaders in our society, and I also believe that the fans of those people, the followers of those people, or people that look up to them, can basically like name everything that they've done, can remember things that they've said, you know. And if the leader is a leader that has remembered, or that remembers things that they've said, you know, I think that makes the fan more committed, more loyal, right? Let me give you the example, the concrete example. In Mexico right now, there's a phenomenon with this guy called El Temach, and I didn't even know he existed. And he's kind of like an Andrew Tate of Latin America, or of Mexico, I guess. And this guy, you know, he's like pro-man, right? And especially with the feminist movement and everything that's going on, there's been a lot of backlash. I didn't even know about this, but I heard about it when like one of his shows got canceled. So then like all of his fans that were waiting to see him outside of the show started doing push-ups, right? Like as a way of like protest. And you know, I believe that and he's a Scorpio, a water sign. And also like Babo from Cartel de Santa, he's also a Scorpio. So I believe, and Scorpios have that memory, right? They remember things. So I think when you prove, you know, because there's like another leader, like, like Donald Trump, he's a Gemini. He can talk a lot. There's a Gemini who's been a dictator. I'm going to talk about him in a moment. But, you know, I don't think like I think Donald Trump, like his presidency, people would say that he would change his mind from 1 minute to the next, right? Like he said this, and then 10 minutes later he would say the opposite, and like so I think as followers go, you would say I admire Donald Trump or whatever, or I'm in his cabinet office, or I'm in his cabinet or whatever, but he's always changing. So I think that doesn't really get, that doesn't generate the respect that a leader, when he says something, he does it, and then he doesn't change his mind, and then he follows through with it, right? I think it's like a different logic. I don't know if I'm getting this point across. I hope I am. Okay, but anyway, my theory would go like this: fire signs first. And I'm gonna give you some examples of people and how many from each of the zodiacs from fire I have, right? For example, we have Leos, David Koresh, Joseph DiMambro, and Benito Mussolini. Leos, we have three right there. And then as Aries, we just have Kim Il Sung, which is from North Korea. I have the three North Koreans here, the three North Korean leaders: grandpa, dad, and son. Um, but I think North Korea, I mean, if you're born in North Korea as a leader, that's just gonna be like what you do. You're gonna be a dictator. So I don't really think that depends on your zodiac sign. That depends on whether you're born into that family or not, right? Because we have like just one here, one there, and one over there, but they're not even like part of the accumulation. Like right now we have three Leos. That's pretty substantial. Which I thought Leo would be a leader, like a natural born leader, but also could have this type of cult leader dictator tendencies to dominate. I'm also going to be talking about good leaders here, like Gandhi or Martin Luther King. So I'm going to be kind of mixing them up, because I think even if you're a good leader, or Nelson Mandela, you still have to move people around, right? You still have to have that black and white shady to you. So yeah, Aries, Kim Il Sung, that's just one. And then Sagittarius, I was like, I hadn't thought about Sagittarius, but yeah, makes sense. I mean, historically, there's been leaders, dictators with the Sagittarius, like for example, Pablo Escobar, Nicolas Maduro currently, right? Osho, Joseph Stalin, and Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. So there are five. I mean, this is more than Leo. And again, if I'm missing some, let me go ahead and let me know in the comments. Okay, then we move on to air signs. Libra, there are only three. I have Gandhi, Luke Juret, and Vladimir Putin, right? So those are just three. Gemini, only one, Muammar Gaddafi. And Aquarius, there's only Kim Jong-il, which is from North Korea. But again, that's like, North Korea is like an exception. And if you see, there's only going to be one from each of those categories. But with Aquarius, there's also like Abraham Lincoln, right? Which I thought, like, he was a leader during like very difficult turmoil times in the United States during the Civil War. But yeah, I think that's interesting. But yeah, I wouldn't really say like Aquariuses or Ariuses have that tendency to dominate just because of the North Korean leaders. Okay, earth signs, Taurus. And actually, I was like discussing this with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT like told me 2 times that Tauruses, I'm a Taurus, that Tauruses are actually the ones that are more prone to this type of dictatorship attitude. And maybe it's because of the stubbornness, and we also have the memory of Scorpio, but we also have that like extraversion, like Scorpio and Taurus are opposites, and like Scorpio is like more of an internal sign, and Taurus is more of an external sign compared to each other, right? Taurus, we have Jim Jones drinking the Kool-Aid, Saddam Hussein, Marshall Applewhite, Adolf Hitler, and Idi Amin. 5, right? So the same number, just from this list, the same number. I know I'm missing more people. You can go ahead and let me know. But the same quantity as Sagittarius, right? 5. Leo, only 3. I already mentioned them. Capricorn, I thought I would find more Capricorn, and I remember when I was watching the the 2-part series, that I thought there were more Capricorns. I thought there were more Capricorns and more Pisces and more Scorpios, but I guess there are. I didn't find them right now doing this like a little investigation. Again, if you know, please let me know. I would be very interested in knowing if there are more. So Capricorn, Martin Luther King, and Kim Jong-un, currently North Korea's leader, right? There were no Virgos, so I was like, what? Like, so that's kind of interesting because Virgo is actually a very critical sign, and Cancer, and they're not opposite to each other, but they do have this tendency to like, of the Munchkin by proxy syndrome, where they like get their people sick, and then they take care of them because they have that necessity to feel like needed. But I guess overall, Virgo and Cancer are signs that are more to the service of people. They wouldn't really be out there dominating or trying to control or manipulate people or situations. So I guess they're good. If you're a Virgo or a Cancer, congrats. But there is Porfirio Diaz. In Mexico's history, he's considered controversially a dictator. Person I admire, but he was a Virgo. And he ruled Mexico for like 30 years, over 30 years. But he did bad things, but I guess he also did a lot of good things. He modernized the country, and he was heavily influenced by the French culture, so he kind of tried to throw that into Mexico. Okay, and then the water signs, my theory was that all of them were, but we actually have a moderate number of examples. I would say almost the same as air signs. So I would even be like now looking at this list, considering maybe fire and earth signs, not so much water and earth signs, but fire and earth signs to be like the most prone to this tendency of controlling and manipulating. Okay, but anyway, with water signs, Babo from Cartel de Santa, I wouldn't really say he's controlling, but he does have his followers. Scorpios just have this very secretive attitude to them, where I think they have like their close-knit circle, and they just control it, right? Like I have this idea, right? Like Seth MacFarlane from Family Guy, right? He may be doing that. I'm gonna get into this in a moment, but let me give you the examples. Babo, Temach, but I wouldn't really say they're like cult leaders. Charles Manson, huge. Charles Manson, I don't know what he had like in his rising sun or in his moon or something, but he was a Scorpio sun, but I don't think he was anything. I mean, he pretty much had to be like very extroverted to be the way that he was, or is. I don't know if he's still alive. Okay, but I'm gonna get into like the current leaders, which I'm like, what? I'm watching this documentary on like all the failed attempts, not all the failed attempts, but from the 90s and early 2000s, with Israel and Palestine. And I didn't know Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister or President of Israel, he's still in charge, and he was in charge in the 90s, and he's a Scorpio. Currently, I think you had Arafat in the 90s, but he died in 2004. And since 2005, Mahmoud Abbas is the leader or the president. He's considered the predecessor or the successor of Arafat. And he's been in power since 2005, and he's a Scorpio too. Biden, the United States president, AMLO, the president in Mexico, and Charles III are all Scorpios, right? So that's like something to consider. I think their way of controlling isn't very well seen or documented or known. I think they do exert a lot of power and influence, but in ways that can't be seen by most people. But I'm not sure, right? That's just an idea I have. Cancer, Nelson Mandela, but he was a good leader. But again, going back to that Virgo and Cancer thing, they can't really do no harm. They're just good at heart, maybe. And then Pisces, again, I thought there would be more Pisces, but it was just Shoko Asahara and George Washington. George Washington, I think like James Madison and some of the founding fathers of the United States, they were Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, so it's supposed to be the one that's embedded with the most wisdom and knowledge, and it represents like the unification of all of the zodiac signs, the 12 of them. So it would make sense that they would make for good leaders. But again, that's all I got for this video. What do you think? Let me know. That was just something I was thinking about, but I could be wrong. I would have to do more digging into. But yeah, so that's all I got for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, peace.